Hey guys, so I'm on here today to talk about how I lost my marriage with just one argument. I just misspoke. I spoke out of anger. No, you didn't. You lied because you were trying to win the argument. When you couldn't win it by yourself, then you start trying to win it by including other people. And then when I call them and say, hey, can we kind of talk about why you feel this way? Because first of all, nobody should be speaking on our marriage. But if you're going to give advice, let's give it to the couple, not one person. And the family counselor's like, so after all of this went down, you waited till she was at work and moved out and didn't tell her nothing? The only way she knew is because she saw the U-Haul on the Ring camera?
Bro, this is why I don't play the vet better game, because what did she say? Oh, we're already deep into it, and it's like, oh yeah, no, I want to go 50-50. How many more times do I got to bring up the fact that men need to just stop publicly trying to shame women? Because, and I don't mean that in a general sense. They need to stop it in a general sense too, but individually, men need to stop trying to do this, because men are very deluded. Men are not in touch with reality, right? And because of this, oftentimes men will be in a relationship with a woman. They will be the problem in the relationship. It will be them. They are the culprit, right? But since they're so delusional, and most of the time they have people that feed the delusion, they will actually start to believe or fully believe that they aren't the problem, or it goes both ways, or you know what I mean, or whatever. It was like, oh, both of you guys messed up. But the whole time they are the villain. And then they get the extra special cases. They get online and then they try to call the woman out. And then they force the woman to respond. And I'm like, yeah, I fully, expect somebody to protect and defend themselves, especially from a motherfucker that was in the wrong, especially when you're in the wrong. And that's what we have here. We have a case of that. Prime example of that. I've seen it so many times. Whether it be a narcissistic man trying to, do the whole Darvo thing and turn it around and call the woman a narcissist, then he'll record her upset. And then you'll be listening to what she's saying she's upset about. And you're like, oh no, that's rational. That makes sense. I would be upset with that or at that as well. And they, because there's they have lied to themselves and convinced themselves that they are the problem, so much so to the point they think that they can gaslight the world into thinking that they're not the problem. And that pretty much sums up men in a nutshell.
Hey guys, so I'm on here today to talk about how I lost my marriage with just one argument. I didn't see any major signs. There were no big arguments, big fallouts before. We had only been together for 3 years, but just with one argument, even the kids was like, dang, y'all getting divorced. What happened? Did we miss something? No, y'all saw the same stuff I saw. And, anyway, I wasn't even going to address this, but the only reason I'm addressing this is because he's aspiring to be a singer. And apparently he's been using his pen and pad to tell the world about it. And so many people have hit me up do you know what he's saying in his music? And it's clearly about you. So I tell people, when there is he say, she say going on, because I am going to tell my side, since you don't want to be quiet and just, let it dissipate like adults and we handle it privately. But, I'm my thing is, you can believe him, you can believe me. I don't really care. I tell people all the time, you don't have to believe me or the other person, because I always have receipts. So anything I say in this video, I will have receipts that I can prove that it is what happened. So with that being said, let's just jump right into it. I noticed around August that I just wasn't really just feeling like myself. And I was when I think about everything, when I'm reflective of everything, it's us. There's something going on. And I just was let me just talk to my husband, because I don't want to let this fester. I really want us to talk about it and see if we can just work it out and get back to us. And I told him, I said, I don't feel covered spiritually, financially, emotionally, or physically. And he was like, no, that's not true. That's not true. And I'm like, I'm telling you my reality. We need to talk about why I feel this way instead of denying that I have any feelings. And so he was like, I don't understand how you could say that. I said, well, I don't feel covered physically because I'm not protected. You walk in the house in front of me all the time. You walk so far ahead of me that even when the baby is yelling, daddy, daddy, wait, I'm trying to catch up with you. You can't even hear her. That's how far ahead you are. You're so far ahead that people at church greeted us separately because that's how far ahead you walk.
Oh, the narcissist walk. The narcissist walk. This right here is something I never would have thought. I never would have paid attention to. I had no idea. You don't have to be a narcissist to do this, but it you tie that in with a bunch of other things like she's about to do. It's definitely a telltale sign. I ain't gonna lie. Yeah, like walking way ahead of your significant other and your children. And I used to be like, I remember my wife used to be like walk with me, whatever. And I'll be like, I am, And I'm like, you're so, she's a fucking foot shorter than me, 10 inches shorter than me or whatever. And I would always blame it on like that I'm like, I just walk faster than you, which is true, but like, so what? Slow down. Like just walk with her. It shouldn't be that hard, but like, yeah, men are just very, dude, like I've said this before, but like men are like very airheaded and ditzy a lot of times. And sometimes it's not malicious. Sometimes it's not like, you're selfish or, you know what I mean? Like, or whatever the case may be. It's not like you don't want to walk with her or whatever. You're just like, you're just like walking just to get to the destination. Like we're just walking to get to the destination, but you don't take into account like she's talking about. That's why I love that she said she didn't feel protected physically because women do have to be worried about their surroundings more than men do. And you would hope as a woman, if you were out with a man, that at the very least you would get that protection. But how is she getting that protection if a motherfucker walking a half a block ahead of her? You know what I'm saying? Then men or, predators or whatever, they're seeing her walk. They don't know you guys are together. They may approach her, which creates more problems for you, to be honest with you. Like, so you walk with her. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I totally understand that.
Emotionally, I'm not covered because I go to bed alone. I wake up alone. You're always out with your friends or you're always upstairs smoking, playing a game, whatever. Spiritually, I'm not.
Sounds like he was escapism, right? That's that escapism. Cool, got it. So he walking ahead of her, never lays down with her, go to bed with her. Probably didn't talk that much because that's usually when you get your most talking in, be in the bed with your spouse. You know what I'm saying? If you got kids and whatnot.
I'm not covered because I go to bed alone. I wake up alone. You're always out with your friends or you're always upstairs smoking, playing a game, whatever. Spiritually, I'm not covered because you don't pray over me. And he says, well, that's because you asked me to stop. I told you that as a man of God, you should know that our God is omnipotent and can do anything. So instead of praying to God, please heal my wife, give her sickness to me, why would you pray for more stress on our home? We serve an all-powerful, almighty, all-knowing God. Why wouldn't you just pray for healing? It seems performative. Like, why are you begging to be sick? Like, attention seek much? I don't know. And then I said, financially, you've been unemployed 3 times in 3 years. And the stress of that is really getting to me. And I just really don't know, like, if I can continue not saying anything about this. And I told him, I said, due to my health, because I have a chronic health condition, I did take a leave from my job and then tell them, you know what, I don't think I'm coming back. And I was off for about a year. But during the year that I was off, I brought in $53,000 that we just went through. I had a Chick-fil-A CD. I had a bank CD rather, that I had set up because I wanted to become a operator of a Chick-fil-A. I had money that I had set aside for 2 more investment properties I wanted. I had money set aside for home repairs, all of these things. And then even though when we met, I told him, hey, I don't ever want to be married again because I'm a real traditional girl and men of this day don't want traditional women. He pretty much waited until we were deep in the relationship, pretty much in marriage counseling, to say, well, I think that the whole 50-50 thing is a good way to go. You do this, I do that. So anyway, even while
How this be that this man be bro. This is why I don't play the like vet better game, because what did she say? Oh, we're like already deep into it, and it's like, oh yeah, no, I want to go 50-50. This woman told you from the get green that she was a traditional woman. Look, man, my personal feelings aside, I don't give a fuck. If somebody tell you, I don't care what that person tell you, for the most part, and they tell you that they like to role play and dress up like hippopotamuses and giraffes and shit, and gazelles and lions, and chase each other around the room and make goddamn jungle noises before y'all get married. And they say, can you do that? Nigga, if you can't do that, tell them, nah, that's a little bit too freaky for me. Cool, I'll see you later. Like, if somebody is taking the time and the energy to tell you what their expectations are, you gotta be down for that shit. If you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't, man, you can't do that. You can't do that, man. And men do that shit all the damn time. It's like it's impossible to be a woman from this aspect as well. Because if you tell a man your expectations, he just gonna love bomb you, and you know what I'm saying, and convince you to fall for him or whatever, right? By showing you signs or whatever, because you don't really know until you get fully involved with him. You know what I'm saying? So he's gonna give you the signs. He's gonna take care of you. He buy you stuff. He be employed the whole time while y'all dating, while y'all courting or whatever. Whatever, right? But then, so you tell him what your expectations are because you feel like it's fair, and it is fair. Like, it is the right thing to do, right? Cool. That way he can't say later on, oh, I didn't sign up for this, right? Cool. So she tells him his expectation. But then on the flip side, if you don't tell him the expectations, he's going to do exactly what I just said. If you don't tell him the expectations and then you just wait and see how he acts, as soon as you call out his behavior, he's going to go, oh, I didn't know it. Oh, and just give me one more chance. And then he's going to straighten up, do what you want him to do in that moment, perform until he sinks his hooks in more. Then he got you all over it. Like, it is fucking impossible. It's impossible. It's a lose-lose-lose for women. It's a lose-lose-lose for women. And I've been seeing this in my comments a lot lately, but I totally understand it. It ain't going to go away. 100 men versus a bear, the bear winning. Because 100 men versus accountability, men ain't taking accountability. We going to lose that fight. Them shits is connected. Both of those battles are connected. Just so you know. This is exact. Oh my God. This is exactly why women, what the fuck do you want? What do you want women to do? What do you want them to do?
while I am unemployed, I'm still covering what would have been my half of the bills had I been working. And we live well below our means because when he met me, we kept the lifestyle that I was living. So it was a lifestyle I was already maintaining by myself. Me and my children were already traveling, eating well, dressing well. They had passports, the whole nine. And we just kept that lifestyle, but it's sustainable on just my income. So the first 2 times that he was unemployed, it didn't really hit us because I'm still working. The third time happened when I was on leave. And I told him, I don't care if you're quitting your jobs or if they are, firing you. For somebody to work in retirements and not have a 401k or an IRA is crazy. But then there's no savings account. And when I put money in our joint savings, it's constantly being taken out. Overdraft. Oh, I forgot about this. Oh, I forgot that was coming out. Oh, I didn't have the money to cover that. Constantly.
And these be the same men running around talking about how they need to protect women for themselves from spending and da-da-da-da-da. And I be trying to tell men, women are far more likely to be financially stable than men. No matter how much money we make, that don't even fucking matter. Women just take less risks. Why do you not understand how that would translate to being financially viable more consistently than men? That's why I laugh at the notion that men need to protect women from women. No, Dummy. Why do you think men live longer when they're married? Because women protect men from men. That's what the numbers say. That's what the science says. Fuck your opinions. That's what the science says.
And then when I, say, hey, this is coming up, my daughter's tuition is coming up, he says these are his kids, so much so to the little one is asked to be adopted, and the oldest one has said he wanted to change his name. And, he says these are his kids. I had to pay for tuition by myself. He had not a penny to put to it. When my tenants messed up the plumbing in the house, I paid $800 for that by myself. He didn't have a penny to put to it. The roof needed some work, and it got so bad that it went from just a little moisture up there to leaking in the house to literally just constant drip. I paid to get that fixed, $7,000. He had not a penny to put to it. Keep in mind, I'm doing all of this while I am unemployed and still contributing my half of the bills. And so it gets so much so to the point of where I say, you know what, sick or not, I got to go back to work. Keep in mind, I went back to work in August. I was in the hospital 5 days last month. Like, that's what my condition is. My condition is not that I'm afraid of work. I was in my field for 10 years. This is my 11th year now. But my condition is so much so that when it does flare up, it drains all of my energy and I can barely get out of bed. Like, they will ask me, did you walk in here? Somebody get her a wheelchair. Like, they put the fall risk sign on me and everything. And so, it's bad, but I didn't have any choice but to go back to work because there was no provider in the home. And so of all the ways I said I didn't feel covered, that's the one where he was like, oh, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. I believe the marriage should be between me, you, and God. But
one thing you can't do, and I don't mean this literally, but one thing you can't do is call a man broke. Because men put such a onus on, even though he broke, don't get me wrong, like, he knows he's broke. But the one thing you can't do is call a man broke. I've literally been online with dudes and I called them everything but a child of God. But then I'd be like, you broke. And they'd be like, broke where? That shit's always funny. Always hilarious. Then they want to get into a dick swinging contest about who got more money. And they never have more money. It's ridiculous.
Then you start saying, oh, my homeboy said this, my homeboy said that, this person said that, even your friend. Every time I would say, well, let's call and ask them why they feel that way. Oh, I just misspoke. I spoke out of anger. No, you didn't. You lied because you were trying to win the argument. When you couldn't win it by yourself, then you start trying to win it by including other people. And then when I call them and say, hey, can we kind of talk about why you feel this way? Because first of all, nobody should be speaking on our marriage. But if you're going to give advice, let's give it to the couple, not one person.
I got homies like that do that all the time. They always tell me stuff about their relationships, give me their side of the story. And then I would end up talking to their wives like at a later date about that thing. And then I'm sitting there like looking at this nigga. She telling me the story, and he know it's a different version than what he told me. She telling me it's like when your parents show up at school. You know what I'm saying? Your teacher done called a parent-teacher conference, and the kids done, you done lied to your mama or whatever about what you didn't do in class. You like, man, she lying on me. Your mama like taking your side, like, okay, damn. Okay, I know my baby ain't, you know what I'm saying? Like, all right, cool. Let me go get this woman a piece of my mind or whatever. Get this teacher a piece of my mind. You pull up, the teacher start telling you a whole different story. You looking at the mama looking at you like the whole time. That's how I be looking at the men. Like, I'm looking at this nigga. He not looking at me. All of a sudden, he want to twiddle. Nigga, you told me something. That's why I stopped listening to men. I tell my homies when they tell me stuff, I'll be like, bro, this is why I don't like giving you advice. Because I never, like, I don't believe you. I'm sorry. Like, you lied to me so many times. I don't believe you. Straight up and down. I stopped. That's why, and they be mad at me because I go, so, like, I may even be wrong. I may overcorrect at this point, but I don't care. It's their fault. I'll go so hard on them. Like, nah, bro, no, that's your fault. So now my default is it's your fault. And they make, you know what I'm saying, most of the time it is their fault. Maybe sometimes I was wrong, but I don't even care because fuck that. You ain't about to have me out here giving you bad advice.
Oh, I just misspoke. I spoke out of anger. No, you didn't. You lied because you were trying to win the argument. When you couldn't win it by yourself, then you start trying to win it by including other people. And then when I call them and say, hey, can we kind of talk about why you feel this way? Because first of all, nobody should be speaking on our marriage. But if you're going to give advice, let's give it to the couple, not one person. And everybody was like, what are you talking about? I never said that. So then I said, you know what? It's supposed to be between me, you, and God. Let's talk to the pastor who married us, because that's, other than God, that's the only person who should be really in this anyway. We went to marriage counseling, and the pastor was like, sir, the things she's saying are valid. And the fact that you're agreeing, oh yeah, I do walk in front of her. Oh yeah, I'm not in bed. Oh no, I haven't been working. Like, are you serious? And so he says, well, you know, I don't want to come to you anymore because I don't agree with what you're saying. So the kids are like, well, maybe we can try family counseling. We go to family counseling. And the family counselor's like, so after all of this went down, you waited till she was at work and moved out and didn't tell her nothing. The only way she knew is because she saw the U-Haul on the Ring camera and the kids were there and you didn't tell them anything. And now they're saying that's traumatic for them. Oh, he don't like me. I can't go back to there. So anytime that somebody tells him he's wrong, it's automatically that they just don't like him. They're against him. And he can only find one person to agree with him. And this one person is so crazy because it's the same.
Who y'all think this one person is? I'm going to give you a second to take a guess. Lock it in your brain. You got 3 seconds. 2, 1. Lock it in your brain.
Same person. And he said his therapist, and by the way, that's not a fire alarm, that's my dryer. But, or a smoke detector, rather, that's my dryer. But his therapist told them, this person is the reason for your trauma. This person is a toxic relationship. This person is why you are unhealed. And these are his words to me. It was his mom. And that's the only person he could find to agree with him. And that's exactly who he ran back to when all of this went down. Moved right back in her house and started telling me, oh, I can't come around you. It gives me anxiety to be here. As soon as I see the kids, I start feeling like I'm going to throw up and my palms are sweating. And, you know, he missed soccer games. He missed her birthday, back to school, like all of that. All of that. For kids who he used to say, I ain't got no step kids. These are my kids. These my kids. These my kids. And like I said, you know, the little one asked to be adopted. The oldest one asked to change her name. He left them high and dry. Left me. I was in the hospital. I'm calling him. Hey, I need the insurance card. He telling me, oh, I'm in an interview. Because remember, he's trying to get his music career off the ground. And, you know, the second
An interview for music or interview for a job?
Day of my stay was my birthday. He told me that he had gigs that he had to fulfill. He needed my sisters to come up there. And then he asked me for $20 to get him something to eat. If you have gigs, why don't you have any money? Well, it's not really a gig. I had kind of just told them that this is what I wanted. That's a proposal. If the person who ain't got no money is saying it is a proposal. A gig is when the person who got the money offers a contract. But yeah, and since then, it's just been one big shit show.
Now, the only thing I don't like about what she said was at the very beginning, she said it wasn't no big signs. There was a lot of big signs. Y'all wasn't arguing. Arguing don't mean shit, to be honest. I'm not saying it don't mean shit, but you ain't got to argue to get divorced. You know? There was hella red flags. Ma'am, there was a lot of red flags in there, but I do feel for her because it sounded like he put her together. It sounded like she was a sugar mama type situation. That's what it sounded like. To me, that's what it sounded like. And her sickness got the best of her, you know, and didn't allow her to work. He didn't expect that. And then, you know, he kind of didn't see much use for her after that. And he really probably started to present her more and more. Also, did you guess it was the mother? I did. As soon as she started saying it, I said, oh, this got to be his mama. Got to be. It's a cold game like cocaine, though, y'all. Wicked work.